Hi, I'm Karen Moss, and I'm the mayor of Camden.
Hi, I'm Cherry Anderson.
Hi, I'm Pastor Greg Jackson. I've been the pastor of the First Southern Baptist Church here in Camden for 27 years.
Hello, my name is Jeff Wood. I'm on the Preble Shawnee School Board, and I work with my dad at Wood Propane, local business here in town.
Hi, I'm Jerry Wood. I'm the present owner of Wood Propane.
Hi, my name is Daryl Cottle. I'm a financial advisor with Edward Jones.
So my name is Eshel Bales, and my husband and I own the funeral home here in Camden, and then we also have the Little Shop of Sharing, which is a nonprofit organization, a 501c3, where we can give back to the community.
I'm excited to introduce my neighbor and good friend, Myrna Matt. Myrna is pretty much a lifelong resident of Camden.
Long time.
Her husband, John Matt, also served as mayor.
Michael Trent.
I'm Dina Trent.
Hi, my name's Ryan Gerald. I grew up in Camden. Currently live in Cincinnati, but I still come back. I am on the Camden Comeback Committee, and my entire family still lives here.
Hi, I'm Dr. James Thompson from the Camden Medical Building here in beautiful Camden, Ohio.
I'm Nick Dusky. I am a lifelong resident of Camden and a school board member here for Preble Shawnee School District.
I'm Caden Dusky, and also a lifelong resident of Camden and his daughter. And I go to school here.
And you work here?
And I work here.
I'm Kelly Duran. I'm on Village Council here in Camden, Ohio. I've lived in Camden for 30 plus years.
And when I think of Camden, Ohio, I also think of the word home.
I grew up here the first 22 years of my life, and now I'm happy to be back here for the last 7 or 8 years, and so it's just got to be home.
The word that comes to my mind when I think of Camden is the word hope.
Camden is full of characters.
Grown up here my entire life. Met my wife here. She's grown up here her entire life. All of our family lives around here, and this is where we decided to start and raise our own family.
I love that I can go into any store or any restaurant or just anywhere in town, and I know somebody. I know a lot of people, but I always know someone to talk to.
When I say Camden, what comes to mind?
Home.
The schools are great. The community is great. I've never seen a community be so interactive with the residents and the children.
My grandparents own several buildings around Camden, especially downtown, that really are in desperate need of renovation.
I've been here 44 and a half years. Chose this community because I wanted to be in solo practice in a small community with a small community hospital, which I found at McCullough Hyde in Oxford, Ohio.
I have a good sense of community here, so definitely community.
The word that comes to mind for Camden to me is home. It just feels very homey here. We have roots here, and the people around here are so kind and giving, and it just, even if you've only lived here a year, I think everybody here feels like they're at home once they get here.
I think of Camden as a safe little homey community. It's familiar, safe. That's what I think of. I think it's a good place to live and do business. I just like everything about our little town.
This little town has a lot of history.
I love the memories that I have. I love that what I've come back to is even better than I remembered, because there's a new vitality. Camden has a wonderful history, but it's also got a great future, and there's a bunch of people in town that are going to make that happen.
I love the fact that Camden is a reflection of the way it used to be in many ways. Small town, everybody knows each other. We grieve together and we celebrate together.
My father and grandfathers, they started actually in the coal and ice business in the early 20s, and then about World War II, when fuel oil became a little more popular, they started with gasoline stations and fuel oil. And then sometime, I believe in the mid to late 50s, as propane came about, mostly for cooking at those times, it didn't become useful for heating until about the 70s, that we are 100% now just in the propane business.
Over the past couple of years, we have seen a lot of the members of this community step up to the occasion of decorating the town, renovating.
I feel like we have a great community of people and volunteers and people who really love our town who put back into it.
What would you say you like best about this town?
It's just home. It's just, I just like everything. It's just home.
Children are able to grow up like we did when we were younger. It's kind of a town where they can go out and play, and we don't really have to worry about them.
Everything's just here. Everybody knows everybody. If you don't know the person next to you, you probably know their cousin. It's just a great place to be.
Yeah, my family's been here as long as we can kind of trace back to the early 1800s. Our family has the longest running business here in town, the hardware store.
We have good people. We have, I think we're in a good location. I mean, we're 20 minutes from a lot of different things. I think that's a big thing. We have, for a small town of only 2,000 people, we have just about everything here that you need. I'm not going to say everything that you want, but we have most everything that you need. And I think it's just a great little place to call home. And
Myron Scott used to live here, and you may not be familiar with him, but he is the one that started the American Soapbox Derby. He also named the Chevrolet Corvette.
We have a lot of historical buildings. Remember, we've been around, Camden's been here since 1818, so what I'd like to see is more of these buildings that can be restored the way this beautiful building has here. We have parks, there's things that we can do with the town, but since I love history, particularly, and there's so much history in this town, so many buildings from the mid-19th century, some have been restored and we have more that we can do. I'd love to see that happen.
28 years ago, Camden, Ohio was not on the radar of my life, but I could not think of how in the world it would have just been awful to have missed the 27 years here, to just have other family, friends. God brought us here, and I'm so glad He did.
I love that I seem to fit in here. I really couldn't imagine being anywhere else. I think, as a kid, you think you want to get out, you think you want to, I don't know, I thought I was going to be a filmmaker for a while and stuff, but I realized that really this is where I want to be. I'm not just attached to the hip here. I enjoy, the fact that we do have a lot of history in the town. I enjoy that we do have stories to tell, that we've been around for a long time, and I just believe that I belong.
For me, I feel like Camden is a small town with tons of opportunity. We're seeing some of that opportunity come to fruition as we speak. We're seeing new businesses come into town. We're seeing the town being brought back to some of its former glory. And so while we are a small town, I feel like we have plenty of potential ahead of us.
I'm from Camden. I grew up here my whole life. I've lived a couple other places for short periods of time, and I always come back to Camden.
What changes would you like to see in Camden?
Oh golly, they're being made. I mean, I can't think of just more of the same. I mean, of course, this is beautiful, and the gazebo's beautiful. The old school is so nice. It's just, everything's doing fine.
But most things are within walking distance. I mean, you have the fire department next to a doctor's office, next to a church, next to the post office, next to the town hall and the water department, next to a bank, and everything's really tight to where you can walk to one thing to the next.
And we love it here. Our house is kind of smack dab right in the middle of the action here in Camden, and we just love all the wonderful things that are going on in this community and being a part of it.
like that, we have people buying older buildings and renovating them, and new businesses are coming. So I think there's a lot of good things that I'm seeing, and I think we're just at the edge of all of this. This is really the beginning.
This building, has a history. It was built in 1889, and then a fire took it in the 1989, I believe it was, and now we're back in this beautiful building. So this was a magnet for the whole area. The town hall, the opera house upstairs. This is my favorite place.
I love the new town hall. It's a rallying point for all of us.
My dad was on council and mayor here for a couple terms for almost 40, I think right at 40 years. But when I was small, probably about 6 or 7 years old, we had in this building, and it was just a few feet over this way, a local jail. Remind me a lot of the jail in Mayberry. except the bars were flat then instead of the round bars. But I remember on the weekends when there was no one in the town hall, that if my mom didn't make the meals for the local, let's say, patrons of the jail, we'd go to the local restaurant across the street, and I'd come in with my dad, and he'd have the key, and he'd open it up, and I'd go in there and sit with these guys and talk to them. And they weren't dangerous criminals. They were about the Otises of the day, you know, and until they could be transferred to the jail in Eaton on Monday, so they'd spend the weekend here.
I think one of the things that would be great would be just some type of an event center, some type of community center, something that provides recreation to families and community, whether that be, you know, some type of an area where concerts could be had, theater could be done, just public and community get-togethers would be really, really important.
I think I would just like to see some more activity-based things for our kids, our students, things for kids to do, so that we can bring those families out and bring them together as a community.
So you've mentioned a lot of things that you like. Is there one in particular that might be your favorite?
This town hall. Yeah, because I remember when it burned, and I remember when they started, and I remember when they got the roof on. That was a big thing. That was the first thing. I thought, oh, there's a long way to go, but they've got here.
Yeah.
Well, we have a community program called Camden Comeback, and they are putting in so much effort with the community, keeping the children active, positive things for this community. They had a jamboree at one of the local parks. Michael and I did some face painting for the children. They had music. Just this past Christmas, there was a Santa parade. Santa Claus actually gave out gifts to all the children that came. I mean, it was amazing. I've never seen anything like that. The decorating contest, which I loved. We participated in the Halloween one and the Christmas one, but they have so many more. It was just beautiful to go down Main Street in Camden and just see all the lights and music, and the center of the town decorated. The church, the local church, brought in Santa Claus. All the little kids got to see him. It's just a great place for families and community.
The biggest change that I would like to see is what my grandparents own. I think it's the sorest spot right in the middle of town.
I think there's a few things that set Camden apart. It's remarkable how kind of rural and just part of nature and the country that it feels like. But we're so close to so many things too. We're very close to Dayton, Cincinnati. So there's all these like amazing cultural things with arts, entertainment, sports, and things like that are within reach. But we still really have like the small town feel.
One thing, I just love really everything about our little town. I mean, I go to a lot of little towns, and every one I drive through, I can't say I compare them, but I look at them and I think, boy, we're lucky to have what we have. So many towns you go through that are just really flat on their back and no upshot, and we're getting up off of our back, dusting ourselves off.
We also are home to a pro baseball player, Don Elston. Don played for the Chicago Cubs.
It's a safe place. It's a safe place.
It really is.
For me, I love history. I love architecture. Most of my life, this very building has sat empty, unused. And so it offers so much history. It's such a well-built building with so much character. To be able to see that renovated and brought back to its former glory has been really exciting.
And then we also have blessing boxes here in town with food, non-perishable items that people can go and they can donate and put things in the box, and they can get out anything they need.
There's a large group of us on the Camden Comeback Committee that come together, and we all care. And we all come back here once a month and have meetings and try to do things that benefit the town, whether that be, helping out a business or helping out the community, to have an event that the kids can come to. I've
been on council for 15 years. I've been on this committee to renovate the town hall for 25 or 30 years. So I'm very biased about in the building I'm in, and that is probably my favorite. But really, my favorite of favorites on top of this is the bell tower and the original bell ringing at 12, at 3, at 6, at 9, and at midnight. And that is my favorite thing. I mean, I just love hearing that bell ring and knowing that people heard that bell in 1889. It hadn't been heard in 60 or 80 years when we put it back up there.
Another unique piece of Camden's history is that it was home to the Neff and Fry Company. Now, in addition to making practice bombs for World War II, and by the way, we are featured in, Neff and Fry is featured in the Smithsonian because of that, they also made concrete silos. And in fact, 95% of the concrete silos in the United States were made by the Neff and Fry Company, right here in Camden, Ohio.
The town is definitely on an upward swing. There are new businesses going in all the time.
And we have 2 food pantries at 2 different local churches that people can visit.
What I would like to see in Camden is something that's open till 1 o'clock in the morning, that has pool tables and, you know, games and things for kids to do, to where our kids don't have to go out of town. They can actually come back to Camden after a sporting event and hang out in a safe place right downtown.
Another thing that I think is really cool for a small town is all the businesses that we have here in town. There's not a lot of towns in our area and of our size that have their own hardware store, their own grocery store, their own local businesses, and actually a growing downtown that are currently adding more businesses, not shuttering them. So it's really exciting to be a part of that.
We're looking for a grant from the state to help us finish phase 2 of our project, but the upstairs here is going to be a hub and a beehive of activity. Once that is completed, there'll be any kind of function that you can think of that you want to have up there. You'll have 200 to 300 chairs, room for 200 to 300 people. You can have mystery dinner theater night, you can have a wedding, you can have a reception, you can have a birthday party, you can have a anniversary party, you can do anything you want, Monte Carlo night, anything. Bands, we're gonna have plays, you're gonna have a stage.
But my favorite thing has to be the town hall. I'm sure many people already say that. It's just a gorgeous building.
Each of our schools have a food closet where any student can go in there at any time and get a snack, breakfast items, food to take home for the evenings, for the weekends. So it's just open to any student who needs anything from there.
For me, what sets Camden apart from everywhere else is the relationships. A lot of people have mentioned everybody knows everybody, and that's really cool. But this is the kind of town where, true story, my neighbor contacted me because she had a bat in her house. And I went over there armed with a Tupperware bowl and a broom and got it out. Last summer, as I was sitting on my front porch, I noticed something moving across the street. Another neighbor has a 100-pound pet turtle that escaped from the backyard. My husband and I geared up and we went over to rescue the turtle because they were out of town. They were 2 hours away in Indianapolis. There's just things, that definitely I would say would set Camden apart from the rest of other places. And one other thing that's really special to me, I lost my father this year, and I was sitting on, it was in August, and my neighbor, the turtle neighbor actually, said, "Hey, I've got some fireworks." Okay, this may not be good for this because I think it's illegal, but I've got some fireworks that I want to set off in honor of your dad. So my family, we sat on my front porch, Main Street, USA, Camden, Ohio, and they shot off fireworks just because they could in memory of my dad, and it was a kind gesture. That's the kind of place Camden is. It is a place to come home to.
Why should you choose Camden, Ohio? Because Camden is a place to come home.